talk to us and he took the time out to come here. And I'd like to thank ICAAD and Jaspreet, especially at ICAAD, for guiding me with this project and for giving me the creative freedom that I needed to do this. So this series, as you can see, it's called Colonialism and the Climate Crisis. So my intention here was to make explicit the link between colonialism and the climate crisis, as colonialism being the context from which it arises. And also to point to indigenous perspectives that are often overlooked in dominant culture. Right? So, and the interesting thing is, a few months into me starting work on this project, the IPCC report was released, the 6th IPCC report, which is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which for the first time they used the word colonialism as the historical and ongoing driver of climate change, which I think was very reassuring for me. Like, okay, I'm just going to point to them if anyone argues with me about this. So yeah, that's a really big 40-page report. But I've tried to depict this. I feel like I've only scratched the surface of this topic, but I've tried to do a good job of that. So yeah, the idea here was to show that so often we see the climate crisis framed as a matter of carbon emissions, right? Now that's the mechanism. It doesn't tell you the story or the context. So I wanted to show how the context under which climate crisis arises is colonization. So you see how also in this painting I'm showing how the global north countries are mainly the colonizing countries, which have built their empires on the bloodshed and genocide of the indigenous people. And the global south countries, that's the relief there showing the economic and social wealth that we had, which was violently stolen away. So I've used different ways of different aspects of the climate crisis and try to depict, like in this one, it's about how we colonize the underwater world. So in the last 50 years, I think seafood consumption has quadrupled, and there's millions of tons of fishing gear that's just abandoned in the water. And it's really cool in this one, I realized that the colors glow. So yeah, I can give you the flashlight later if anyone wants to use it that way. So I've used some man-made distress signals here, which is, for me, it's a way of saying that the creatures in the underwater world, they would probably give us those signals if they could. So I saw that when I was walking through an aquarium somewhere, and I saw a sign for humans that said no entry. That was reflected in the water. So for me, it felt like, okay, maybe that's what the fish and the octopus and the seahorse might want to tell us. Stop getting into our business. So yeah, each of these paintings has like a story, and there's a lot of research that's gone into it. If you'd like to know about anything in particular, please let me know. And also for me, it was really important to not take this into a doomsday narrative, because so often that's where it goes when you talk about the climate crisis. So like this one it's called Apocalypse, and Apocalypse as collapse renewal. So the word apocalypse is, normally you think it means the fiery end of everything, right? Now there's another meaning to the word, which comes from the Greek word apocalypsis, which means collapse, renewal, hyphenated. So what that means is the seeds of renewal are within the collapse. They find life within the collapse. So that's kind of where we are right now. Like we see the collapse happening and we're all trying to find our seeds of renewal inside it. So it's like both sides invite our full involvement. You can't skip one for the other. So I'm trying to show a dead tree that's teeming with life. There's tons of ecosystems going, which we don't have names for, the web of relationships that exists there. And also there was a line that I read in a book, it said a dead tree is an infinite hotel. So that line stuck with me. There's a book called Overstory, I don't know if you've read that. So it's about how a tree stump is kind of a symbol for apocalypse as collapse renewal. So for me it's really important that we don't think of the climate crisis and go into despair. And if you just look at the facts, it can send you into a pretty depressed state of mind if you look at how it's going. But I feel like that's not helpful, and my work as an artist is to point towards the seeds of renewal, the hope, the questions, the different ways we can look at this. And also art provides a space, a container, like a story to hold your feelings in. Like when you can't wrap your head around something, art can help you wrap your heart around it. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this series, that okay, it's not a faraway headline that sends you into despair, but it's something that is so personal to us. We all have a grief-strewn relationship with the earth. We all feel grief about how things are. And within that, what can we look for? Like, what are the sunbeams we can align with? What are the dark places we can put down our roots and find some renewal in? because that's how nature works. And also, like, one last thing, like, nothing in the forest is in an individual. I mean, nothing in the forest is an individual. Everything in the forest is the forest. Because, I mean, that's also how indigenous people saw nature, as a web of relationships, not a bunch of resources that you endlessly extract from them. So that's kind of what I've tried to depict here. So I hope you have a look, and feel free to ask me about anything and talk to us and share how you feel. Because a lot of times people share things with me about the art which I would not have thought of. You know, and I'm amazed to hear other people's perspectives on it. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be great if you guys tell us what you saw in the art as well. But thank you so much for